as we come into this time of meditation. A time of tapping into our awareness that we are part of something greater. That we are joined together with hearts and lives. And invite you to sense yourself rooted. Sense your feet rooted. Your seat rooted. And imagine your roots reaching deep into the earth. And like the roots of trees, sense the roots of all of us connected, communicating our need and tending to each other's needs, nourishing each other deep beneath the soil of our lives. And now sense your whole body supported, strong. Your face radiant in the sun. Your face radiant in the sun. Imagine your arms and my arms and our arms stretching to the sun and the sky, like branches swaying together. Sense your whole being held by deep roots, growing toward the light. And I pray as we offer that nourishment to each other, the nourishment of those flowing waters of spirit, that all that we need to grow deep and strong and true will grow and thrive in this beautiful garden that we grow together, co-creating with God, that divine gardener. And so it is. Thanks, Pete. I'm going to start today by sharing a little bit of my story of why and how being rooted in each other feels so alive to me this morning. And I'm going to hope that all that I've kept together like this for the last couple of weeks, especially the last 2 days, doesn't all come unleashing right now. I'd like to wait till I get home to do that, but we'll see how that goes. And after I share a little bit of my story, though, because it's not about me, it's about an invitation when I share me with you, for you to think about and feel into the why and how you are rooted in your own life with us here, with the people that are close and intimate part of your everyday life, and why it matters that we are rooted to each other here and beyond in that inter-are that we are with everything and everyone. Oh, Raj, thanks for that beautiful picture. So, Roger and I, ideally, bless you, it's the allergies. A lot of tree pollen right now. Roger and I look ahead as often as we can. We look ahead like a month at a time to think about the flow of the themes of these Sunday messages and how the music will work with all of that. And I was inspired for today, really thinking about this rooted in each other, knowing that today, this morning, was going to follow a full day of me being the celebrant at a memorial service for a dear friend, a friend of over 40 years, a memorial service that was held in the Catholic Church where I first met Roger, where I spent my entire married life, where I raised my family, and where those members of that community that eventually included my parents. My dad was assigned as a deacon there, but after our family, my family that I grew, had kind of stopped going there, that community is such a part of my life. And to know that those roots, that root system, I shared that earlier this spring, I can feel the gift of those roots. The warm and welcoming version of Catholicism that I was raised in, that is not what everybody receives in that growing up, but specifically also that community that fed me and fed my family life with friends who were as close as family for all of those years. I had a lot of thoughts and feels about then standing on that altar 10 years after my ordination, going back there, and what was that going to be? So many thoughts and feels about the bigness of that I barely gave myself time to feel the loss of this friend. So feeling those roots, actually that's also where I first learned about unity. Talking to Martha Mock after an Advent Sunday, and she said, Roger's doing that whole interfaith minister thing too, and he's at this Unity church, and they do this thing called One Song, and it sounds like you would really like it. 2014. So, holy wow. So feeling those roots and feeling the holy wow of being in that space, supported by Roger's music ministry there as well yesterday, and the musicianship of the generation of 30 and 40-somethings who were the little kids that were the terrors running around everywhere, and now we're the middle-aged people that we're looking at like, where'd you come from? And who are we then? And those young adults all had something in common. The ones who were there to share their gift of music, they were mentored and encouraged by our friend Bill, whose life we were there to celebrate. There were a lot of feelings. And then last night, driving home from the family reunion feeling of the gathering at the Albany Order of the Hibernians, where, yes, right, Albany institutions. It was that beautiful classic gathering after a celebration of life. Lots of food, lots of sharing memories and stories and laughter. And Billy P. wanted Billy S. to play in a band. Billy S. said, I can't, but I've got guys. So the guys from his band. It was just a love fest of multiple generations. The little dance party 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds up to the grandparents, all there telling stories, reveling in the gift of being together, as a good memorial service will do. So on our way home, my Billy said to me, nothing in my childhood, nothing in my childhood years and years and years of being here could have prepared me to imagine the possibility of what today was. Not seeing you on the altar, Mom. Not playing a song with my band that Bill Prislecki taught me when I was 14. Not the feeling of meeting friends that I haven't seen in 20 years and feeling those deep connections as though there was no time that had passed. We are rooted in each other. Literally, our communities are rooted. There are people here for whom St. Vincent's was a home for many years. There are people at the upper room. Our roots grow deep in Smallbany. They grow deep. And we are part of something greater. Our lives and our hearts and our minds and our souls are joined in ways we don't always recognize in that moment. We can't recognize them until we turn around and see where that path has led us. Here's a little bit of inspiration that I take, it's one of the turned down pages that I go to often. You're going to hear 2 of those turned down pages from the Book of Awakening this morning. On April 4th, the little title is The Courage of the Seed. All the buried seeds crack open in the dark, the instant they surrender to a process they can't see. Mark Nepo writes after that little poetic bit, what a powerful lesson is spring. All around us, everything small and buried surrenders to a process that none of the buried parts can see. And this innate surrender allows everything edible and fragrant to break ground into a life of light that we call spring. In nature, we are quietly given countless models of how to give ourselves over to what feels dark, what appears dark and hopeless, but which ultimately is an awakening that is beyond all imagining. This moving into the dark and through it into blossom is a threshold to God. As a seed buried in the earth cannot imagine itself as an orchid or a hyacinth, neither can a heart packed with hurt imagine itself loved or at peace. The courage of the seed is that once cracking, it cracks all the way. That's why that page is turned over. The courage of the seed is that once cracking, it cracks all the way. Mark Nepo. And I would remind us that those seeds of awakening are nourished by the life-giving water that Deb read about this morning in the Daily Word. As water flows from mountaintop to coastline, the presence of Spirit flows into every part of my life. Every part. The parts that appear dark and hopeless in the moment. There is still that nourishing water of life flowing into us and through us, nourishing those seeds that we allow to crack open. Childhood Billy and his mom could not imagine how our roots breakies. Childhood Billy and his mom could not imagine how our roots would bloom into the tender gift of yesterday. From the first moment of walking through the doors of that church to last night getting back to my house tired and full. We could not recognize where those seeds of joy and sorrow would take us. So I ask you, where in the garden of your life have your roots taken hold? In looking back at a time of darkness or pain or fear, something that appeared hopeless, are there roots that you see now that are new growth that feed who you are today? We cannot always see those roots growing and blooming until we turn around and look at where we have been. But maybe now, maybe today, you are in one of those times that feels dark and hopeless. Every day in our collective life right now can feel dark and hopeless. When I see the reports and results of the malignancy, of cruelty, of greed, of violence and oppression that is so alive and at work in our country and around the world, I can feel darkness and I can feel hopeless. And yet, here is more, another page from May 15th from the Book of Awakening. And this is one that I can nearly recite without reading it. But my heart is so full that I'm not going to rely on my memory this morning. The risk to bloom. And I believe I've shared this before. But again, that turned over page, I come to it again and again. And then the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk to bloom. Anais Nin. We all face this turning point repeatedly, when resisting the flow of inner events suddenly feels more hurtful than leaping forward into the unknown. Yet no one can tell us when to leap. There is no authority to bless our need to enter life, but the God within. How often we thwart ourselves by holding tenaciously to what is familiar. It is instructive, if chilling, that in floral shops, the roses that won't open are called bullets. They are discarded because they will never bloom. They have turned in on themselves so tightly that they can never release their fragrance. Yet as spirits in bodily form, we have the chance to tighten and bloom more than once. But even spirits, if turned in on themselves enough, may grow accustomed to being closed. Unlike roses, however, the human chamber can be shut down for years, and still it takes but one breath from the true center, and we will flower. It has always amazed and humbled me how the risk to bloom can seem so insurmountable beforehand, and so inevitably freeing once the threshold is crossed. He writes about a friend in recovery that he asked what made him able to stop drinking. And his friend says, the pain of drinking became greater than the pain of not drinking. The same can be said of us. We can flower in an instant once the pain of not flowering and not loving becomes greater than our fear. And in that beautiful book where that passage resides, Mark Nepo invites his readers to go inside to that infinite space and feel the warming breath of God inviting you to bloom. How we face that risk to bloom, how we surrender to the courage of our seeds of hope, our seeds of compassion, our seeds of new life, that all matters. It matters in our own individual lives. How we face that risk to bloom and have that courage to let our seeds of new life crack open. At almost 42, the age my son Billy is now, I was teaching middle school English, going to graduate school, and navigating a life that was utterly different in almost every possible way from what my life looks like now. And that life was almost utterly impossible for me to have imagined the 20 plus years earlier than that. And when I'm turning 84, I won't believe what the last couple of decades have brought either. Hopefully I'm still standing. We make the way by walking and by tending seeds and roots that bloom with the events of our lives, nourished always by that deep, living water of spirit. And we do that communally as well. Science reveals that the root system of trees talk to each other. They communicate. They share nutrients. They send healing to a vulnerable tree. What if we lived like trees? Yesterday, I think it was yesterday and not Friday, people from all over the South joined together to march in Selma again, 51 years later, to protest Jim Crow Laws 2.0. Folks in Del Mar gather weekly on Tuesday night at the Four Corners, which they have done, by the way, for years, with presents and signs of peaceful protest. We come together as a community to feed our neighbors, to learn about issues that affect our lives and our shared civic life. We here take responsibility for planting seeds, for tending our roots. Together, we create fertile soil. Everything that we have composted from our lives, the song that Jerry and Carol are going to sing in a few minutes might indeed be the thing that busts open all that I'm composting right now. But what a gift to know that wherever we are, God is, and that life-giving water, whether we feel without hope or we feel dazzlingly joyful, God is with us. That living water runs through us and as us. And we are composting all that has been to bring us fully alive to this moment and all that it carries. And as we grow that fertile soil, over and over again, we're asked to think about, what am I paying attention to? How am I transforming the complex ecosystems, the garden soil of my own life, of my relationships? Is there some aspect of your own life where you can feel your resistance to growing? Because we all have those moments. Is there a place in your life or your heart where you're holding tenaciously out of fear to what is familiar, and can you shift that to tenaciously, because that's a beautiful word. Can you tenaciously surrender to all that is being cracked open in you? That all that this world needs from you, not to go out and do, but to go out and be, to come in and be, and to just be present as people whose hearts and minds and souls rest in something greater. As people whose hearts and minds and lives bend towards our inherent goodness and our inherent oneness. Can we tenaciously surrender to all of the ways God asks us to show up? Because we never know when those joined roots are going to be the very thing we needed to feed us. We are rooted in each other, always, and in all ways. So may we grow rich, beautiful soil from the you-know-what, fertilizer, from the sun and the rain and the crazy 40-degree weather the other day and the 90-degree weather coming. It's all part of the beautiful creation that we are a part of. May we take responsibility and holy accountability for each other and for our own hearts. May it be so. And so it is. Amen. Thank you.